It is said that every story has its similarities. You'll see breakdowns about how there are only two types of stories that exist. The most common way of showing these things is something called the hero's journey. Every story has its hero, the one that we're meant to root for, the one who wins and stands up against all odds against them. It has its mentors, those who are there to guide our hero through this impossible journey. And it also has its antagonists, some seemingly unstoppable power that the mentors fear and the hero must eventually face. America's Got Talent builds itself up as a story waiting to be told, and as a story, it is no different. The contestants, the eventual winner of the show every season, trying to change their lives forever, trying to make something of themselves, trying to win against all odds. These are our heroes. The judges guiding them through their journey. These are our mentors. And the antagonist, the evil that the mentors fear the moment that they can sense it, the dark force that is inevitable and unstoppable, the unfathomable being that is not a question of if, but when it will arrive to wreak havoc amongst the lives of our heroes. That antagonist, that villain, that dark, inevitable, unstoppable force is Sethward.
I'm a giraffe!
Oh boy.
America's Got Talent has received a bit of criticism over the years. For those who don't know, America's Got Talent, or AGT, is a television program / talent show / reality show that was created by the Sony Music executive Simon Cowell.
Absolute rubbish, but
British?
Basically, people show up, show off their talent and what they do as performers, and the winner of the show gets $1 million and a live show in Vegas. The show goes through elimination rounds, with acts being eliminated each episode based on viewer votes. However, the viewer votes don't really start until the live show portion. Before that, there is the audition stage, where the judges are actually the ones who decide to let acts through. This tends to be the most interesting, because by the time we go to the live show, mostly we've got the standard acts left. It's singers, it's bands, it's magicians, comedians. Every once in a while, something odd and unique will make it through.
You want to play?
The auditions, however, are the most important because basically anyone can apply and just show up. And there are some unique acts that show up sometimes.
A bottom reader.
A what?
A bottom reader. A rumpologist.
Feed the future from there behind.
I can, yes. This person doesn't sleep very well.
Some of them are cool and severely misunderstood by the judges and they get thrown off without really being given a fair chance.
Take a bottle, becomes a glass. Where'd it go? It's in my...
And some are, let's just say they're not $1 million worthy.
Please laugh with me. Let's do the penguin laughter.
Now, mostly these acts show up, they get booed off stage, and then we never see them again. That is, except for one. In 2018, season 13 of America's Got Talent was airing, and on June 12th, 2018, on the third episode of season 13, the world was presented with something beautiful.
What the bloody hell is that?
Sethward's first appearance was confusing to say the least.
Oh no! What is he wearing?
My name is Sethward the caterpillar.
No, you're not. And where are you from?
I'm from the forest where I live among all the beautiful creatures.
Okay.
No one really knew what the hell they were being forced to bear witness to,
He's gonna turn in. What did the caterpillar turn into?
Dumb bitch.
and he was obviously buzzed off stage rather quickly. Right after flashing the audience, of course, but we'll come back to that.
You have a hole in your stockings.
You made me come out too early.
So Sethward the Caterpillar was assumed to just be this weird, odd blip in AGT history, and the world quickly moved on. But then, the next year, in season 14, a familiar face showed up.
Oh, look at all the beautiful people.
I know who you are. You
Huh?
were a caterpillar last year.
Wait a second. That's the same guy?
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm Sethward the giraffe.
Okay.
See, apparently, there's no limits on how often you can audition, and to everyone's delight, this arrived on stage.
Okay. So you were a caterpillar, whatever that thing is, last year, and now you've turned into a giraffe. Okay, you know what, Sethward? I'm not going to ask you any questions because I tried that before, so good luck.
Sethward's performance was once again
I'm becoming just like one of the normal giraffes.
I'm sorry.
indescribable. Trying to grow his neck, I guess.
All I want is to grow my
Sethward!
neck. For me, a long
No,
neck.
we're not helping you.
It's
We're just going to
happening!
shut up.
I feel it. I'm getting a longer neck.
Once again, he was bussed off. He got his nuts out.
Done it again.
And he was dragged off stage.
It's okay. It's okay.
Then, later that same episode, he came back dressed as a walrus, but this time he didn't get his balls out, though.
I'm Sethward the walrus. Oh my God.
Not, well, I mean, I guess he didn't get them out in the way he normally does. And he actually got a yes from both Howie Mandel and Simon Cowell.
Howie, I thought it was like fantastically stupid, but I liked it. And well done for having the guts to come back, because this one actually got me. So I'm going to say yes.
But, of course, every party needs a pooper, and so he never got through. So season 14 seemed to pretty much be the end of it. Season 15 had the issue of airing in the wonderful year of 2020. So, of course, there were a couple issues with filming due to the pandemic. There were attempts to film without an audience, then filming stopped completely, then it came back, but it was like outside. But most importantly, there was no sign of Sethward. Season 15 came and went, and no one really gave a thought as to what could have happened to our poor Sethward. Season 16 came around, and with the exception of a few changes, the show was mostly back to normal. The shows are back to having an audience, the judges have been changed around as they seem to be every other season, and of course, Sethward was back.
Are you?
It's me, Sethward the Picker.
Sethward, once again, didn't really do much, and things got a little weird at the start of the act.
Okay, well, let's try this in human.
The entire point of the act seemed to be that he was trying to fuck Sofia Vergara, and also this.
It's not worth it.
It is worth it. This is all I have, Howie.
Is he okay?
He's dead.
So, Despite all this, though, he actually got a yes from all 4 judges, though Simon was pretty reluctant.
Simon, is that a yes?
Yes, whatever. Anything.
Thank you, judges!
After giving America another good look at his ballsack, he left to prepare for his quarterfinal performance. His quarterfinal performance was a bit more interesting, just because I think they tend to give a bit of a budget to the performers. So once they get through auditions, the performances are always far more involved as far as theming, as far as props, costumes, all of these types of things. So I think the show probably tosses some money at them to make whatever they're going to do interesting. His costume was far more intricate, and he did this whole thing with pyrotechnics. He lit himself on fire.
Oh my God, I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
And eventually he rose from the ashes as Sethward the Phoenix. Sethward, unfortunately, though, didn't make it through to the next round after this. Season 17 came around in 2022, and on episode 8, a strange comedy act showed up called The Big Apple.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight? It's me, the Big Apple. Hey!
He came out, first off, and just straight up insulted Howie Mandel.
Everybody, my name's Big Apple. At least that's what they call me. But I think that it's a little insensitive, don't you think? I mean, how would you like it if they called you Fat Howie?
Then started making these, frankly, kind of awful jokes.
You see me in the club? Yeah, that's what they call a forbidden fruit.
Until he started acting like he was sick.
No, seriously, I don't feel so good.
He kept up this act, like begging for a doctor, until he got all 4 buzzers, and then...
What is happening?
Yeah, people lost their minds when this happened. It turned into the usual act of him falling down and disrobing, and let me just say, Sethward is the only person who can get 4 buzzers, then be asked to continue his act, and receive a standing ovation. "2023 saw the premiere of AGT All-Stars, a spin-off series that was essentially America's Got Talent, but it features returning acts from previous seasons that may have gotten far but didn't win, or who were significant in some ways. For example, Dustin's Dojo didn't exactly come close to winning, but they were the first golden buzzer ever on the show, so of course they were there. And who could forget our dear old Sethward? Sethward showed up on AGT All-Stars to prove one thing, and one thing only, that he was the true greatest of all time.
Sethward the goat!
So while I was watching all of these auditions for this video, Sethward the GOAT honestly did not get the reaction I was expecting, especially after some of the other ones.
You guys thought you could have an All-Stars without the GOAT?
Who invited you on this show?
Who didn't invite me?
It wasn't the reaction I was expecting, and also not really the one I was hoping for. See, people lost their shit over Sethward the Worm. But when he wandered onto stage on AGT All-Stars, the reactions were honestly disappointing. However, this may be one of my favorites he's done, mostly because he just sort of breaks a bunch of shit and then says this.
You broke the screen.
It's okay, you guys have lots of money.
Sethward, unfortunately, didn't get enough votes to move on, and so far, that is the end. AGT All-Stars premiered this year, and I'm assuming next year in 2024, we will see him again. So why should we care about Sethward? Well, I feel it's not really important because his performances are particularly good. It's more about what Sethward represents. Between seasons of America's Got Talent, he did also appear on other talent shows, and specifically other Got Talent network shows. Most notable, I think, is he appeared in Czechoslovakia Got Talent. And I want to point out this one mainly because out of all of his performances, this one is probably the most batshit. I think mostly because the judges actually kind of liked it, so they didn't buzz him and put a stop to it like normal. So he just has to keep doing shit. And it goes on for quite some time. It eventually got to the point where one of the judges actually baby birds some food into his mouth.
Chew? Chew? Yeah, chew, chew, chew.
And then they fucking kill him.
Close. Calm down.
Nedalo sa to inak.
To sa fakt
Ja som
nedalo.
tiež mierumilovný človek, ale čo je veľa, to je veľa.
A teď rýchle.
Well, I feel his AGT performances are what's important and what we need to look at, and not really any of his other acts in various other talent programs. But why? Why are the AGT performances important, and why should we care about them? See, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Got Talent, and specifically America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, has fallen under some criticism. It has a problem of being just this sob fest of sad stories and basically just becoming American Idol 90% of the time, as most of the acts that get through seem to be singers, while many of the interesting acts get rejected. There are legitimate reasons that I'll get into in a bit, but it's honestly, it feels like every other season winner is a singer. It's actually been about half of them almost. There are also criticisms about part of it being rigged, and supposedly the producers do intentionally tell certain acts that they have to do specific performances or sing certain songs specifically to try and embarrass them on the show so that they have more bad acts that they can point and laugh at. See, America's Got Talent is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. It's complete brain rot, garbo trash, but I like watching it. And I will say, as I've watched it, I've noticed it does like to take itself very seriously, while also making some controversial decisions on the production and how the acts are picked and how the judges treat them during auditions. And it boasts being this charitable thing to give some random yahoo the chance to turn their life around with fame and fortune. It's this big major event where we are making dreams come true, and we're doing this for the people. And Sethward shows up every year and makes an absolute mockery of the whole thing.
Listen, guys, you have to promise me, if I climb up this mountain over here, I win $1 million.
No. No way.
Did you hear that? He said yes.
I'm not betting you anything.
See, Sethward will never win. And it was, honest to God, a fucking miracle that he even got through the audition stage just that once. But he knows this. We all know this. And that's not the point. The point is to show up and spit in AGT's face for a little bit. I mean, there's a reason he gets his nuts out in almost every audition he's done. It's all a joke, and amazingly, despite Sethward being the one acting like an idiot, it's a joke that America's Got Talent is actually the butt of. There's one reason why I love Sethward the GOAT. He breaks one of the X buttons, he breaks one of their giant screen, and then just points out that they have tons of money, so it shouldn't really even matter. Sethward has a career outside of America's Got Talent. He exists on TikTok right now, though half his videos are just clips of his America's Got Talent auditions and him being yelled at by Simon Cowell. But AGT is absolutely what he's most famous for. And despite his purpose of making a joke of America's Got Talent, they keep letting him come back. And they brought him onto the All-Star show because I think AGT even knows that he's there to make a joke of it. But they still play along. The All-Star show introduces him by having him pretend to be breaking into the studio and like crawling around out of suitcases and things like he's sneaking in. Because despite the fact that he's there to make a mockery of everything, I honestly think the judges, or at least Howie and Simon, actually kind of like him. Maybe not his act, but Sethward as a person. Honestly, Simon hugging Sethward after he fell off stage felt genuine to me. Maybe I'm just buying into all of it as a mindless media consumer. But I really think that he is something special in both the show's and the judges' eyes. I've said before Sethward's acts aren't really much, but he does deserve some credit. His costumes are actually pretty intricate. I am a cosplay girl, and so I know what it's like trying to make complex, large costumes. It's not easy to make, and they're always very difficult to even move around in once you have them on. Also, part of his acts is that he's always falling, and when he falls down, he falls hard. Like, he really hits the floor. He's even one of the few people who actually completely fell off the stage. Sethward will never win. Yes, I think he has a weird place in Simon Cowell's cold dead heart. Yes, I think his act is important to AGT, but he will never win. And honestly, he probably shouldn't. See, I do believe AGT has a problem of not letting enough of the interesting acts through. However, people seem to not understand why, like, these joke acts like this, or some of the other, I guess, less impressive acts shouldn't be let through. So America's Got Talent winners, for those who don't know, they win a total cash amount of $1 million, which can be paid in various ways. There's all this stuff about the lump sum is basically nothing, or you can have it paid monthly, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the important part. They always talk about, is your act worth $1 million? But I think what's most important is that they also get a Vegas show. So it's not just that legit acts would be screwed out of money if the joke acts win, but they have to be able to advertise and sell tickets to a Las Vegas show where this entire act is the entire thing. I don't know how many of you watching have been to Vegas, but the shows aren't cheap. And at $100 a ticket, you're damn right I'm going to make sure that the show I spend my money on is going to be a good one. It's highly competitive, and there are so many well-known resident shows out there. That event, even with the built-in fan base that comes with America's Got Talent, I imagine they have a really hard time having to work to compete. Now, America's Got Talent has recently started its own resident show, and many different acts from America's Got Talent are performing now in one big show. And I believe now the prize is you have a part of this show rather than just headlining your own show for an extended period of time. But I hope now you kind of see more why the judges have to be a bit pickier about specific things that they let through. Now, they still deserve criticism, especially with, some acts that are just ridiculous but are still entertaining and would make a good show, but the judges don't like it because they think it's crude or whatever, or they just don't get it. So Sethward wouldn't really be great as a winner. Maybe now, though, he could land a dumb little cameo spot on the AGT Resident show. Is Sethward the greatest act of all time on America's Got Talent? No. That honor goes to Dustin's Dojo.
My name is Dustin's Dojo, and I'm a trained black belt, and I learned to be a black belt at Roger Baker's, Taekwondo and Pizza, Pensacola, Florida.
However, I think he's important to America's Got Talent, and I think it's important that there's someone like him to take the show as controversial as this and to essentially show up and just shit on the whole thing. Sethward, continue on, you beautiful bastard. Though, I don't think you deserve to win AGT. You absolutely deserve a spot in media history.